Is Congressman Dana Rohrabacher. Please give him an applause. Just 1 second, Dana. We need to say a few more things because Dana is always a visionary. He's willing to step out and say, if we're Americans, then we believe in human rights and liberty, and if we're going to believe in that, then we're going to make it a reality. He was on the ground floor when it was not popular to say Slobodan Milosevic is another Hitler, and we are going to face another genocide. That's exactly what happened in Bosnia and Kosovo, and he said we should be arming the people there. They should be determining their future. They should be able to vote for their own freedom eventually at the ballot box. I want to tell you, we're going to be showing a short film, a very little clip of some of the magnificent statements and compelling statements he made on the House floor. But right now, I want to recognize him for doing something else. It wasn't necessarily easy to do it in this particular political climate at this time during an election cycle. We asked for a major resolution, and I am happy to report that Congressman Dana Rohrabacher and Congressman Gerald Nadler introduced on November 15th in the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, House Res 812, recognizing Albania on the occasion of its 100th year anniversary and commending Albanians around the world for the saving role they played during the Holocaust. Telling that history, and now Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, compelled by that, said, I will get the support in the committee. I will bring this resolution to the House floor, and it will be passed. Please, please, give him congratulations. And a very important part of that resolution is something very, very new, because it shows that it wasn't only Albanians inside of Albania who saved Jews during the Holocaust, but Albanians in Kosovo. It tells that story. We'll be hearing more about that today. Dana, welcome.
Yes. I just spoke to Dana, and he's going to forbear until we show a 3-minute clip. If you want to see someone in action on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, watch this. Eat, but just keep it quiet. We're going to move this along nicely.
Mr. Rohrabacher.
Let me thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank Mr. Lantos for the leadership that you two have provided on this issue. It's time to get on with it. It's time to get on with it. We've wasted so much time while the lives of these people just go on and on. The young people in Kosovo feel helpless, and unless we move and act to recognize that they have the rights as everyone else to control their own destiny through the ballot box, they're going to be just as angry as Americans would be in the same situation. We shouldn't permit the rights of our young people ever to be violated such. We should consider the people of Kosovo just as on an equal level with our own people. It's time to get on with this job, give them their rights, give them the right to vote and control their own country and to have a democratically elected government. This administration is serious about promoting democracy, which we hear from the president all the time, can start with Kosovo, and it's a great place to start because we can do it.
Gentleman's time.
Thank you very much, and I join my colleagues in congratulating the administration at long last, determining that it's time to do something. My first reaction is, you're late. But that set aside, it's time to get on with it, as I mentioned in my opening statement, and I'm very pleased that this administration has decided, yes, let's get on with this and try to find a solution. The solution to me seems very easy, and I don't know why we have to set up this convoluted process of having a United Nations advisor down there. We have senior UN diplomat determine if the final status talks are ready, and then a senior European negotiator. What's to negotiate? What's to determine? The people of Kosovo have a right to determine their own future through the ballot box, just as every other group of people in this world. There's nothing to determine there. Either we are Americans and we believe that, or we don't. President talks about democracy as being an important part of his administration and a very important goal, important value that we're putting forward, a priority value, let's say. Well, this is the way to prove it, right here. Why should we be taking into consideration what the Serbs and the Montenegrins want to do about the political future of the Kosovars? It's the Kosovars who are the ones who need to determine that. If we believe in democracy, it's time to let the people of Kosovo have an election, determine their own leaders.
I'll summarize my testimony totally. Vital interest not to create a seeming contradiction between calling for free and fair elections and democracy in Iraq and Ukraine on the one hand, and then denying the democratic process in Kosovo, something about which Congressman Rohrabacher has spoken so eloquently. It's in the vital interest of the United States to have a progressive Muslim Albanian majority in the heart of Europe. It's in the vital interest of the United States that Albanians are the most pro-American, pro-Western ethnic group in Southeast Europe and maybe in all of Europe. When America was attacked on 9/11, many countries danced in the streets while Kosovar Albanians lit candles, had vigils, and said, "We are with you." It's in the vital interest of the United States to provide genuine support for the democratization of all societies emerging from communism and ultranationalism. And this means that it must come to grips with the fact that U.S. policy in the past 15 years has failed to denazify and democratize Serbia. It's not enough simply to pick up Mladic and Karadzic to come to grips with the situation in which Serbia continues to be a quasi-mafia state that destabilizes its neighbors, and Serbs are being hurt by that.
Thank you very much, Mrs. DioGuardi. Mr. Rohrabacher.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Joe and Shirley DioGuardi for the hard work that they put out on this issue and this cause over the years. And it's been vitally important that a group of people in desperate situations in another part of the world were given direction on how to state their case and how to make sure people understood what was going on through the very complicated democratic process in the United States. So I think Joe and Shirley have done a tremendous job in making sure that we got the picture of what was going on instead of a blurred picture of what was going on there. I'd like to make one note for the record, Mr. Chairman, that is that when we do talk about the United Nations, which the administration seems to believe that the United Nations now should play a role in this process, and we're going to have United Nations representatives there as some negotiators or reconciliators, democratic reconciliators. I just wonder, Mr. Chairman, if those United Nations representatives will be from democratic countries or not. And I'm sorry I didn't have our representative here for the administration. It seems that perhaps a large number of countries in the United Nations are not democratic, and sending perhaps people from China or North Korea or any of these other great countries, Burma, to come to help the Kosovars negotiate for democracy wouldn't really be of great service. And that's why the United States has to make decisions rather than leaving it up to the United Nations. Because in the United Nations, there is a tremendous, let's say, influence of people who do not believe in democracy and the value of liberty and justice.
Yeah. Carrying on the footsteps of Congressman Lantos in the House International Relations Committee. We have another fighter like Congressman Lantos.
No, please, I thank you. Here in Washington, you learned lots of basic fundamental rules of human nature, and also I have been a senior member of the Science Committee for 24 years now. I've been in the Science Committee, and you learn some of the actual relationships between physical science and more about human science. And one of the things that you learn in politics right away is the natural makeup of certain liquids. And we have learned, for example, that the fastest drying liquid known to human beings are tears of gratitude. And let us say that today we are demonstrating the gratitude we have that so frequently or infrequently is expressed towards Joe and Shirley and others who have done such a terrific job for this cause, and to get the word out about how important it is to recognize and to be grateful for the for the gifts that we've been given by individuals like Joe and Shirley, and by groups of people like the Albanian people, the gift that they gave to their neighbors and loved ones, and to strangers whose lives were in jeopardy a half a century or over a half a century ago. So we remember this incredible act, and we're grateful to the Albanian people for this act. I am proud to stand with you in this act of thanks to the Albanian people for showing the world a better way, and showing the world that human beings in times of crisis can stand with courage and make a huge difference. Thank you, Albanian Americans. Thank you, Albania. I've noticed that happiness and gratitude, by the way, another aspect is that happiness and gratitude so often go together. People who aren't grateful for what they've got generally are not happy people. And I would just like to say that I am a very happy person, because my eyes have been open to the wonderful contributions that so many groups in our country have made. I'd like to first ask, how many of you are U.S. citizens or Americans? Could you raise your hand? All right. Now, I want to note this. The United States, U.S., it's us. That's all it is. It's us. And we come from every place in the world. We come from every country, every ethnic group, every religion is us. And we've come here to show the world that there's a better way. That's what America is all about. That's what you're all about. That's what I'm all about. But it's up to us to make sure that we do what those brave people who came here many years ago, and those recent immigrants who've come here, they've all come here to live in freedom and to show the world that there is a better way. Because without us, the United States, standing up for those principles, there is no hope. There is no hope for people who are under a tyrant's grip right now as he grips their throat. There's no one to call to help except the United States. If we do not stand tall for those principles of justice and of liberty, there is no hope, not just for our children's future, but for no one's children's future on this planet. God gave us a terrible responsibility. We have to prove to the world we believe in those principles, and it's tough, and it's complicated. And the Joe and Shirleys dedicate their whole life to this. It's up to us to dedicate at least that time that we can afford to make sure that America stays on this track. I am proud to stand with you. God bless you.
Thanks.